Live from Studio 4 in Atlanta, Georgia, it's me, your host, Lubu, and this is Week in Esports. I'm here with another Week in Esports. Aren't you happy? Aren't you glad? There's a lot going on this week, although not necessarily in the avenues that you might expect. First and foremost, Eleague's new reality TV show, The Challenger, is coming up on its second episode on the 27th. The Challenger is a reality TV show built around 8 of the B-tier Street Fighter players, fighting game players, who are competing in a series of reality show challenges to vote themselves off the island to defeat. That's unimportant. That's not really important. What's important is that the show is a reality show around esports and that it is using players who are not your normal top 8 players. And it's giving them an avenue to A, get their face out in public, and B, to build a personality and look at the potential for sellability for brands. Brands want to look at these players because they want to see if they have a personality and they want to see if they're marketable. If they're marketable, they're more likely to get sponsorships, whether they're the top 8 or not. And so this opportunity is probably bigger than even they realize. And so it is really awesome to see that Eleague is giving a chance to those lower end players. Not to slander them, they're just not the guys that win every tournament, but it's giving them a chance to get in front of audiences and get a lot of screen time. And so that's really awesome. And, you know, they're getting voted off the island or whatever. They're getting kicked off the show as they move through the challenges. Each week we lose one player. That's just the reality show formula. But again, I think this is a really cool show and a really cool idea. It's going to work out for them as long as they don't have a meltdown. As long as none of them shows their ass. You know, when has the FGC shown their ass on camera or on the internet? Usually we save that sort of stuff for Twitter or when, you know, someone just like gives somebody a death threat or, you know, reveals that they're into some weird porn and everyone's laughing at them. Don't kink shame, kids. It's not right. But it's going to be interesting to see. I look forward to seeing the next episode. I hope it's getting good viewership. I don't have the numbers available to me, but Eleague's programming has done really well every single time, and so I think that this is just a good thing overall. So check out The Challenger. I'm not sponsored by this. They just, you know, it's interesting. Moving on to the next topic is high schools. High schools are something I avoid. I avoid driving near them. I avoid looking at them. I find them to be repugnant. They're like slave labor for children. But high schools are joining esports leagues, the NFHS, or National Federation of High School Sports, and Play VS are teaming up to create a high school esports league. They have like 2,000 high schools out of 21 states that are going to be playing in an esport league that they're building together. Each high school will have to pay a portion of money into the program. I think it's $16, so, you know, with our current funding, that won't happen. But they are going to have to pay in to play and provide their own internet and computers. And if you've watched the news, then you're probably seeing where some issues may arise if any of those 21 states are in the bottom 30 of the education system. I assume that you can go ahead and rule out the entire South from that as a thing. That being said, sorry for the technical difficulties. That being said, it will be interesting to see how high school esports leagues continue to grow and develop. They have said that they want to have all 50 states plus Costa Rica in the program. Costa Rica doesn't even have power, so unless esports is somehow going to fly down to Puerto Rico, not Costa Rica, Puerto Rico. Fuck my life. So as long as Puerto Rico can get power, then they'll be included as one of the 51 states. Costa Rica should be allowed in too, though, honestly. But Puerto Rico doesn't have power, and Missouri doesn't even have school, and Virginia can't pay their teachers. I don't know much, but I know that you need some of those things to have a high school and have programs. So hopefully, you know, schools and education systems and budgets get worked out so that the kids can play esports, you know, or eat lunch or have books. One of those is important. And that's the high school esports league. You know, I hope for the best for Play Versus, and I think high school esports is cool because it helps to build the players up and give them confidence. Team sports is good for youth as long as it's not in a toxic environment, and so that's a good option. And then when they move out of high school, they move into our next topic, college. And collegiate esports is the final story of the day. The Ivy League Esports Conference is something being developed between 8 Ivy League school esports clubs. Not the colleges themselves, but the clubs are developing an Ivy League conference so that the 8 schools can play against one another. The clubs don't currently have institutional funding or backing because they are Ivy League schools. The clubs believe that they need to build a program and have it running before the colleges will consider it. I don't think the colleges will ever consider it because they're Ivy League schools. But you never know. They could if they see that it's financially viable and that capitalism can benefit from it. I'm sure they'll start jacking their dicks. But it's an Ivy League conference. It's interesting to see that even kids in those ultra elite schools still want to play video games and hang out with one another and, you know, team kill and shit. And that's great. You know, like I said, high school into college into adults. When I was in the Army, we played video games in the middle of the Iraq in the desert. We found a way to turn on an Xbox and play some Halo 2. So I'm pretty sure that some Ivy League kids can find an hour in the day to play some League of Legends or what have you. But it's cool, you know. A lot of colleges are doing esports conferences. There's a lot of colleges on the West Coast that are doing it because that's where a lot of the infrastructure for esports are on the West Coast, or is on the West Coast. I'm not sure. But, you know, if the Ivy Leagues get into it, if we already have esports teams down here in the South, you know, Texas A&M has a good team, Georgia Tech has a good team. You know, if we can continue to see the collegiate system grow, obviously they have the money to pay for this, unlike high schools, because they, you know, make students go into crippling debt by paying their college fees. So you might as well make an esports league. It's like a fraction of $90,000. So fuck it, why not? That's it for this week in esports. For more nihilistic views on the education system in America, or for more esports in general, you can subscribe to this channel. You can like it. You can favorite it. You can leave a poop emoji if you don't like me. That's fine. It's all good. My name is Lubu. Check me out on Twitter at chef_LU_BU. And I will see you guys next week for next week's Week in Esports.